I decided to dedicate 24 hours to reading comic books and manga. How did that turn out? Well, let's find out. Hi, good morning. Hello. Hi. Welcome back to Comic Casper. Okay, it's very early in Perth right now in Western Australia. And I've decided to... Sorry, I can barely even speak. This is insane. Good morning. I will be reading comic books and manga for 24 hours. It is 4 a.m. right now, and I have a whole big pile of comic books behind me. Single issues. There's over 100 single issues. 10 tankobons of Naruto. There's a couple of omnibuses as well. I decided that I would catch up on my reading, and this would be a great opportunity to do so. In total, there's about close to 200 single issues of comic books. Theoretically, I shouldn't be able to do that in a 24-hour time period based on my reading speed of average of 10 minutes per comic book. Welcome back, my fellow comic book friend. Let's kick it. So I'm gonna start off this crazy as readathon with The Avengers Twilight. This is written by Chip Zdarsky. Here's the funny thing. I pre-ordered this comic book quite a bit in advance, and I still couldn't get the original cover for it. Apparently there was so much popularity that it was very difficult to get the original, which is an absolute bummer. Nothing like the smell of a comic book first thing in the morning, eh? This is the most appropriate comic book to start off with. Guy looks like he's in poor shape like I am this morning. And I think this is supposed to be Captain America. That was a really dope start. I'm actually enjoying The Avengers Twilight so far. The artwork is like a bit muted. It's very suitable with the tone. It almost feels like the opening to V for Vendetta, with a world that has a curfew around it. It's a bit of like a bleak future. And man, it took me much longer than I expected, probably because I'm still waking up. Issue 1 down of like 200. Let's go. Some ASMR teeth brushing. We're going strong, guys. Book 5 of The Avengers Twilight. So far, it's pretty peak, man. Chip Zdarsky is writing a fairly fun story here. I think it's gonna be breakfast time soon. About 5:30 a.m. already. I must be like the slowest reader on earth. Or it's just very difficult to read at this time of the day. Alright, it's 10 to 6 in the morning and I'm on the last issue of Avengers Twilight. This has been a fantastic journey so far. The artwork is consistent by Daniel Acuna, so hopefully Chip Zdarsky can execute a fantastic finale. Finished Avengers Twilight. This was a really fun run to get me started, and I think the next bit of comic book reading is gonna have to be a little bit more simplistic. I'm feeling a little bit more awake. I'm just gonna need something that will require a little less brain power for the next bit of reading. But first, it's time for breakfast. Alright, so I decided that the next batch of comic books that I'm gonna read are gonna be the Spawn comic books. So I'm reading from issue 340 all the way through to 350. And just before that, I'm having some breakfast. So over here, I've got some rye toast with some peanut butter. And I've got a question for you guys. Are you a smooth peanut butter person or a crunchy peanut butter person? Because I'm a crunchy guy myself, but my partner loves smooth, and she gives me a lot of flack for being in the crunchy gang. Makes me feel like an absolute villain. Second part of my breakfast here is some blueberries with coconut yogurt. How very rude of me. I should be sharing. Here comes the plane. Some of this artwork in Spawn is absolute fire. If there is anything the comic book is known for, it's artwork. This challenge to read for 24 hours, it is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I took these comic book issues with me to bed because it was really cold, and then I sort of fell asleep a little bit. So it's 9:30 right now, and I'm at issue 347 of Spawn. I feel like it'll get easier from here on though, hopefully. Okay, so I just finished with issue 350 of Spawn, and I gotta say, I did not expect the ending, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I think it's a fantastic direction that that the team chose to take, and this has some of the finest art I've seen in a Spawn title in a long time. Alright, so that takes me up to 17 comic book issues that I have managed to read so far. The time is 10:20 a.m. I'm still feeling pretty cold, so I'm gonna make a hot chocolate. And I really have to revise my reading process because I'm really falling behind here. Perfection. I think this is one of the best ways to warm yourself up. Absolutely delicious. So the next thing that I'm going to be hitting up will be The Incredible Hulk issue 3 all the way through to issue 13. So I've got another 11 issue binge to get through. So let's keep going. It's about 11:05 and I'm flying through the Hulk. I'm really enjoying this. It's very fast paced. It's really switching things up. This is exactly what I need at this point in time. Nice artwork. However, I do want Nick Klein to be doing all the issues. His artwork is really the standout here. Alright, I'm really enjoying the run so far. This character here, this Ghost Rider, his name is Sal, and I think he's absolute fire. No pun intended, he's a really cool addition to the Marvel Universe. In fact, this particular story is flying at a really fast breakneck pace. The artwork is exceptional, especially when Nick Klein is on the art. It's just fantastic. It's a really good time, guys. Highly recommended so far. Issue 8, just finished it. I can recommend The Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Nick Klein on the artwork. This is like a really rapid, fast, fun run filled with incredible action, and I just love how when it comes to the Hulk, he just wants to resolve a situation through violence. He just cuts through all the bullcrap and gets right into it, and sometimes that's just really fun to see. You know, the Hulk does not mess around. He doesn't have time. He has very easy and simple methods to deal with everything, and Philip Kennedy Johnson really plays on that. You know, you've got your villains that take their time in talking absolute nonsense, and then you've got the Hulk that is willing to shut down the conversation immediately. The writer seems to keep things fairly simple, but takes our protagonist on a wonderful journey into some interesting places and does some fascinating things with the characters that we meet. There's a lot going on here. He keeps things fresh at all times, keeps things exciting. Loved it. It's about 12 o'clock. I am 28 comic book issues in, and I just finished the 11 comics of The Incredible Hulk. You know what? I might just jump into Gods by Jonathan Hickman. This might be a little bit more heavy on the narrative aspects and the dialogue, so it's gonna be once again a bit of a big contrast from what I just read. Should be good though. Apparently there is only 8 issues in this run, so should be interesting. Jonathan Hickman really loves his witty banter. The conversations are very well fleshed out. The stories feel extremely rich, decadent, if you know what I mean. And some of this dialogue is actually quite clever. I understand why he as a writer is well respected by the comic book community. So I just finished the first issue of Gods by Jonathan Hickman with artwork by Valerio Schitti, Marte Gracia, which I believe is doing the inks. This is a very beautiful book. One of the most beautiful artwork that Marvel has produced. Now, it is an expensive price of admission with $9.99 with the first issue, but despite that, it is extra sized, and I gotta say that Jonathan Hickman's writing is top tier in here. It's very intelligent, it is witty, it's extremely fascinating, that just holds my attention from the beginning to the very end. It's not your typical superhero story, and that's what makes it a really fun and enjoyable ride. And this is just the first issue, and I feel like a lot happens in here, very rich in storytelling and content, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm already fascinated by some of the key characters in here. I get the feeling it is gonna be probably one of my longer reads in terms of the single issue comics, but since it's midday, it's probably a good time to jump into it now whilst my mind is still working well. I think this 24-hour readathon is going to be a lot more challenging than I initially expected. So it's past 2 o'clock and I'm halfway through the series, that being issue 4 of Gods. I have 14 hours to go of my marathon, and I think I'm going to have to go and do some sort of exercise just so I don't freeze up. So I might head out to the gym for a little while. It is gym time, let's roll. So I'm back from the gym and we're about at half time, being 4 p.m. right now, considering I'm going to be reading all the way up to 4 a.m., which will make up my 24-hour comic book reading stint, plus some manga if I can fit that in as well. I'm not doing very well so far with only 28 comic book issues read to this point in time, so the second half I'm really gonna have to pick up the pace. Enter the iced coffee. That's right. Now, I'm not a big drinker of coffee or iced coffee in general because I'm quite sensitive to caffeine, so if anything, this will be like my Popeye spinach, really. So you can tell, it's also lactose free. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm lactose intolerant. Wasn't always the case, but you know, it's the cards that you get dealt in life. I think this might do the trick. Now, time for a shower, some dinner, and back into the comic books. So it's just after 6 p.m. and I finished Gods, the 8th issue. What an incredible series with a phenomenal ending. Although I do wish it lasted for a lot longer, but I have to say, not a single page feels wasted. So I feel like they really make the most of the storytelling in each and every single issue. It's actually quite impressive what the writer and the artist are capable of doing with this particular format. And for the next comic books that I'm gonna pick out, I think I'm gonna grab the Batman stuff. I've got about 15 issues. Oh my god, this is such a huge stack of Batman. Going from issue 135 of Batman all the way to issue 149. Now I know there's been a lot of mixed reviews from this particular Batman run. I'm going from the peak Jonathan Hickman stuff to this. I know Jorge Jimenez has beautiful artwork, but hopefully the writing is on par. I gotta say, this issue right here, issue 900 of the Batman, is simply incredible. It pays respect to all of the different types of Batman in the past. It's just phenomenal how they happen to do it and integrate it into this story. It's so much fun. Okay, so I did it. I read 15 Batman comic books back to back. That took me a really long time. I find that the more comic books you read, the more tired you become, and the slower you read. That's what I'm finding right now. So I still got some life left in me. I need to read more comic books. I'm about 53 comic books deep. Maybe I'm just a slow reader, or maybe that is a decent amount of material to get through. What I really want to read is the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. I've got the first 6 issues here, and I've been dying to check this out. I've been saving this for a special occasion. Now is the time. I'm kind of all Batman'd out at the moment. I think the run is pretty great so far. Lovely conclusion to where I got to. It's like the perfect point to stop reading, actually, issue 149. Oh, and by the way, my neck feels like it's gonna fall off. It has been killing me from reading. So I've been like lying in my bed reading some of the Batman stuff as well. Time to persevere. Well, it's midnight and I managed to squeeze in another 6 issues of comics. So that totals it to about 60 issues so far. Now, for the remainder of the next couple of hours or so, I'm going to read some manga. Gotta fit some of that manga in, you know, mix it up a little bit. I definitely underestimated how many comic books can be read in 24 hours, and that's probably because I'm a bit of a slow reader and I preoccupied myself with some other things throughout the day as well, like going to the gym, you know, cooking and whatnot, and making sure that I'm clean at the same time as well. I'm absolutely exhausted. That was 24 hours more or less of reading comic books and getting stuck into manga. I managed to only read 3 tankobans, that being volume 3, 4, and 5 of Naruto, and about 60 issues of comic books. I think I could have done a lot more if I organized myself a little bit better throughout the day, and maybe I had a bit more energy. I found the longer that I went, the slower my reading got. And I want to hear from you guys. Have you guys ever attempted 24 hours of reading? What was your experience like? Because I feel like my eyeballs are gonna explode. I'm extremely exhausted. I expected I would have read way more. but perhaps there's a lot more content within these comic books than I realized. Probably close to 1,500 pages of reading in there. I don't recommend this for anyone, but if you have done something like that, or if you've done long stints of reading, let me know what is the most comic books or manga that you have read in a 24-hour period. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'm gonna be sleeping for a while now. See you later.